Man, I love that sound. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time. You know the drill. The two of the sharpest minds in the biz coming at you a little bit early because it's a weird slate. It's been a weird day. Had a couple games already, and we got a few more to go. We've had a few rain issues already. We may have a few more to go. But first, we are joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. Dave Potts. Cheese is good in the house. What up, Cheese?
Not too much. It is good to see you. I was just for full disclosure, I was kind of a late addition to the show. I didn't know I was on the show, which means I'm not done with my homemade iced vanilla latte. So I'm going to just keep on drinking as if you guys are not here. This is what keeps me going through lock and is delicious. Normally I try to have this done by showtime, but hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Man, you indulge and you enjoy. We appreciate you filling in last minute, latte in hand or not. Thank you for jumping on with us. We got TJ as well. Sometimes he's behind the scenes. Sometimes he's right here putting that pretty mug on cam. What up, TJ?
Not too much today, doing both, giving our guy Steve a little bit of a break on this afternoon, but looking forward to chatting about this slate with you guys. We have a much easier job than you do, Kevin, because we just get to say, play Tariq Skubal if you can, and then you tell us whether or not we can.
Yeah. I was doing the forecast this morning, and I'm just like cruising through these games. I'm like, yeah, we're going to be cool. We're going to be good. We're going to be good. And then I get to the Minnesota game. I was like, shit. And then Meansy, our boss, hit me up, and he was like, just so you know, that is by far the best pitcher in the slate. I was like, oh, sweet. Love that. So do you guys remember last night? There were a few rain issues, both New York games, and I came on with all the confidence in the world and said, just play the games. There's no concerns. There's no worries. I don't even have a doubt in my mind the games will play. And that's how it went. I love when I can do that, but I don't think this is going to be one of those times. There is still a lot of uncertainty. Models have been just comically all over the place. They don't really know what's happening, but let me tell you this. The storms have just started firing up over the last hour. My favorite forecast model updates every hour at the top of the hour. And that means that in 10 minutes, we're going to get a fresh forecast run in. And with the storms now fired and the model understanding that and ingesting that, I think that in the next 10 or 15 minutes, we have a pretty good shot of knowing what is going to happen based purely on that. Now, if you read my write-up, this was the model that all day was showing storms. All day it was showing like massive issues, which is why I had it orange red. And then the last run, it flipped back to fully dry, which is what most models are showing for this game, just maybe a sprinkle or no issues. But it's the best forecast model. So it kind of outshined all the others, and that's why I had concern. Right now, if you want to do it, I am not going to stop you. It is not risk-free. But right now, if you ask me what is the most likely outcome, I think it's a game that probably plays likely without issue. And that means that it works for Skubal. But in 10 to 15 minutes, I think we're going to have a better idea of that. And I really, really hope that it still shows dry weather. Because if in 10 or 15 minutes it shows storms again, I think that probably means trouble. Geez, that was a lot. But does that all kind of compute?
Yeah, so basically, let's just talk about it like Skubal is fine, and then when you get the new model, then we'll rediscuss.
I love it. That sounds good to me. So if you're watching and you're wanting what are we doing now? I think what Cheese said is good. Let's stick with it for now. We'll see what it looks like in 10 minutes when the new models come in, and we'll kind of cross our fingers it looks good, because I don't want to sound the alarm and have everybody have to pivot off of this, but we'll see how it looks. That's my spiel, really. There's nothing else. It's the only risky thing you can do is play pitchers in Minnesota. Everything else is fine. So no other real weather concerns to me. I love the hitting weather in course. It's hot, winds are blowing out, and it's course. So, of course, I'm a big fan of that. But I'm also a big fan of TJ Zwarich, especially when he gives some good pitching breakdowns. TJ, why don't you jump in?
Not only do we have some pitching breakdowns, but we'll have some Spidey bombs for the people if we can get enough likes. So we'll do, say, first one at 50 likes, second one at 75 likes, third one at 100 likes. So keep hitting that like button. In terms of pitcher today, it really is kind of like, it's a small slate. So it's not like we have so few options. It's not like the slate's that big. I guess it's a decent amount of options for how small the slate is. But there's Tariq Skubal, who is by far the best, but he's also priced like Tariq Skubal, frequently is and should be. He's the best pitcher in all of baseball.
And against a good hitting team, right? Kind of, maybe.
Sorry, no, the Mets suck.
Oh,
sorry, the Twins suck. Sorry, is what I meant to say. The Twins suck. They traded, like, they're not horrible. Like, they're not Rockies bad by any means. They're a lot better than that, but they're not somebody we're worried about. But he's priced, almost up at 12K. Like, he's tough to get to. I'm still going to be getting over the field of what we're projecting right now. I have him in 66% of my lineups. In cash, you play Tariq Skubal and Jesus Luzardo and you move on. I think that's kind of what I would do in that scenario. Of the other options besides Tariq Skubal and Jesus Luzardo, I would go Edward Cabrera third, Tanner Bybee fourth, but like distant behind Edward Cabrera based on the ownership we're currently projecting. Eduardo Rodriguez is picking up a little bit of ownership. I am getting to a touch of him, but the cheap guy, if I'm just taking a cheap close my eyes and cross my fingers dart that I like a little bit better, is Brad Lord for Washington. And so I'm getting to a little bit him as a cheap option, but those are the only 5 pitchers in my pool today. Skubal, Luzardo, or 6, I guess, sorry. Skubal, Luzardo, Bybee, Cabrera, Rodriguez, Lord. But I do like the idea of stacking against Rodriguez significantly more than playing him.
Okay, very good. Cheese, what are your thoughts? Of course, you can start with Skubal and work your way from there.
Yeah. I wish there was no weather at all, because I really don't have much Skubal.
Ooh.
Like, if you play anyone other than Skubal, like including Luzardo, Cabrera, which would be the next most expensive pair, you can almost do whatever you want. You can play like Carroll, Ketel Marte, and Juan Soto and still build a lineup. Now you can actually build a pretty good lineup with Skubal too. Like, it's easier than I thought it would be when I first looked at the slate. So it's not like I'm out on Skubal. Like, that would be silly to say. But it does, the more lineups I build, the more I feel like if Skubal gets 28 points and 2 of these mid-tier pitchers get 20, I think I want the 20. And that's like the realistic outcome. Like, of course, Skubal can always get the 40 and then you just lose. But I kind of lean towards, I'm a little under on Skubal. And by a little under, it means I have like 30% instead of like 50%. It's not like I'm just fading the guy. But I don't think you just have to have him at the salary. I actually think Luzardo is going to be higher owned than Skubal. Like, it'll be close, but I think Luzardo on DK is kind of almost the clear chalk because of the salary. Like, it's such a huge gap, as it should be. I think they did a fantastic job with the pricing. But like $3,500, that's a lot. And Luzardo has the better matchup, I think. I mean, they're close. They both have pretty good matchups, but I prefer Luzardo's. So I have much more Luzardo than Skubal. As far as eating chalk, I will take the $8,400 chalk that I like over the $11,900 chalk that I like. Now, where I can afford Skubal, Luzardo, of course, that's just what I'm going to do. It's not like I'm never fading Skubal for any reason other than salary. But there are plenty of lineups where I have to do it for salary. So for me, if I'm doing that, my next guy in is Edward Cabrera. I think, because of the way projections work, I think that Bybee will be considerably more popular than Cabrera because he's $1,000 cheaper. I love that. Makes me like Cabrera more. I'm not playing much Bybee. I might not be playing any. If I have one, forgive me, but I didn't play him on purpose. If I had to go in that 7K range, which I don't really, I would play Ober ahead of Bybee, but I don't particularly like Ober either. And I don't particularly like Eduardo Rodriguez at all. So I'm with TJ that Brad Lord is the guy I'm saving salary with if I need a salary saver. If you go Luzardo or Cabrera with Brad Lord, you're set. Like, you can play whatever you want. I mean, you can't do like every single expensive bat, but you can do like 5 of them. So that's just what I'm doing. If going Luzardo or Cabrera with Lord gets me everything I want, I'm not going to sacrifice it to get up to Scooball.
Interesting.
FanDuel is a little different, where Scooball is only 900 more than Luzardo. Like, that's a huge difference when you look at the gap. So much more play Scooball on FanDuel. I mean, play him on DraftKings too, but it's a lot easier and more realistic to get him on FanDuel. And well, Luzardo's still fine. If I can't get Scooball at that point, like, go to someone where you do actually save all the money. Cabrera for me. I understand some people might do Bybee. You can even go down to Brad Lord if you really want to. Just play everything, but I don't think you need to.
I was going to say on FanDuel, I would play 85% Scooball, 10% Cabrera, 5% Lord.
Yeah, that's about right. Like, you don't need to goof around with the Bybees and the Sengas and the Rodriguezes at all on FanDuel.
Yeah. Alex says DK Cash, and you mentioned it was Scooball Luzardo, right, TJ? That's kind of the cash. Yeah, without much question there. Okay, very good. Let's talk about the stacks and the bats. And Cheese, you can lead us off in that department.
It's I like the slate way more than I thought I would when I opened it, just because of how obvious Arizona is. But it's kind of like they're obvious that they're going to score a bunch of runs, but it's one of those slates and one of those teams where it doesn't necessarily mean that's what you have to have for DFS. Because they basically have 4 really good hitters who are all 5,200 and up on DraftKings. And even 2 of them, like Gurriel and Perdomo, are not really $5,000 players. So the bottom half of that lineup, it's fine. I expect them to score runs because of how horrendous the Rockies pitching is. But at essentially $4,000 per bat on DK and like $3,000 on FanDuel, if they all go like 1 for 4, 2 for 4 with a run and an RBI, like, I don't think you really just have to have that. So anyway, Arizona is, of course, the top stack if you're just looking for who probably scores the most runs. But with salary and ownership factored in, I end up liking the Rockies, the Mets, the Tigers, the Phillies, the Braves, and the Marlins almost as much. That's most of the slate. So I'm not as over on Arizona as I initially expected to be.
Give my man a moment, compose himself there, TJ.
We had that thing muted. Well,
yeah, good mute on that.
Thank you. Arizona is still my top stack, but they're not going to be aggressively. I'm not going to be aggressively overweight on them. I'll probably be a little bit underweight to the field. I have the most of Arizona, but the Mets are right behind them, and then the Rockies are right behind them. I'm playing 150 lineup, so I do have a stack of everybody other than the Twins on this slate. I don't have any Twins, but I have absolutely everybody else. The Marlins are probably my favorite outside of that big 3 today, but I don't mind the Braves either. Don't mind Philadelphia either. I do think if you're playing multiple lineups today, you get a Washington stack. Luzardo is going to be crazy highly owned. Washington has a bunch of cheap right-handed bats in there. And so you can play some Dylan Cruz, who's back in the lineup. You can play some Paul DeJong, who for some reason thinks he's the best hitter in the league over the last week. And so based on that, I think you should get a Washington stack in there. I have a decent amount. I have 12 and 150 lineups just because they're really cheap. So it gets you a Scooball lineup that's going to be very different than the rest of the field because of how many people are playing Luzardo.
Yeah. Okay. TJ, let's give the people a target, a Spidey Bomb target, so they know. By the way, it's free content. You may have noticed you're watching on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up. Not only is it good for us, it's good for you. We can keep the show free, but also, TJ, we give the people Spidey Bombs.
Well, we already did. We said 50 likes, 100 likes, and 50 likes, 75 likes, and 100 likes, and we did already make it up to 75. So great reminder. It's time for the first 2 Spidey Bombs. And we're going double Mets today with back to the well Juan Soto, who hit one for us yesterday, and Pete Alonso as well. You can find both of them for right around plus 300. And so first 2 Spidey Bombs are Pete Alonso and Juan Soto.
Also want to give you a Spidey shout out because yesterday I think you had 3 Spidey Bombs and 2 of the 3 hit, correct?
2 for 3. Yeah, had a good day.
That's pretty good. That'll make you some money there. Okay, very good. Let's do a few positions. I'm going to look at the latest forecast models and maybe, I don't know, somewhere around second base or so. I'll jump in, give a weather update in Minnesota, keeping in mind the game doesn't start for another hour and a half. So it's not as if, which is so frustrating. And she's just so I know, it's not as if me gleaning some wonderful information before Minnesota's first pitch is all that helpful, right?
It's useless because there's the only game after it is Coors.
Yeah. God, that sucks. I hate it. Okay. It's just very frustrating. Okay. Well, I will do my best here over the next 5 minutes, see what the latest forecast models are saying, but you guys run through it. TJ, start me off with some catcher talk.
It's helpful if you were playing Detroit and Scooball all in a lineup, because then you could go Eduardo Rodriguez and all the Diamondbacks. But that would be the only situation where it would be helpful.
Yeah. Okay.
In terms of catcher today, swap over.
Let's all build that way just so that Roth can be useful at any time.
Yeah. That sounds great.
Scooball with the Tigers. Which, I mean, hey, I am sure I have some of those lineups in 150. The guy that I'm getting to the most, I mentioned like in the Nats, it's Riley Adams, just because I'm going to a Riley Adams punt in a ton of lineups that I'm not playing Jesus Luzardo in. So I still have 50% Luzardo. But in the lineups that I'm not, I'm getting to a bunch of Riley Adams just because he's $2,500 batting fifth today. He could easily hit a home run off of Luzardo. Del Castillo is the guy that's like the cash game play today. He's 4,200 in a good lineup spot in Coors. I really like the idea. I wish he was lower owned, but I like the idea of pivoting to Hunter Goodman if you can pay that $5K salary. If you can't, I'm mostly going guys in stacks, but JT Realmuto and Drake Baldwin as one-offs as well. I really don't mind. Like, they have really nice prices for their spots today.
Okay. Cheese catcher, please.
I also will throw in Augustin Ramirez and Fulford for Colorado. Obviously, you want Goodman. Like if you're playing Coors and you want to get off at Del Castillo and you have the money, you want Goodman. But I think Fulford will go overlooked because there's two Rockies catchers and he's only the second best one. So that range for me, like that's 39 and 41, both just a couple bucks less than Del Castillo. So most of my catchers are right one of those guys in the 4K range. Yeah, like the Riley Adams punt is fine. A Liam Hicks punt is fine. But like I feel like if you can pay at least to Realmuto or more, you're getting a pretty good player. So that's what I would do.
Okay. How about first base?
This is like the one spot where we don't have Coors Field chalk. I mean, like Tyler Locklear will be kind of popular just because of the salary. But this is the place where if you have money, Coors Field does not jump out. I think Alonso jumps out, Harper and Torkelson. I kind of like Matt Olson too. Like that's a lot to like. And all these expensive names are, again, why I'm a little under on Scooball. Like you can't play all these guys if you're doing Scooball. And I would just rather get one of these guys. I would rank them Alonso, Harper, Torkelson, Olson. If I can't afford them, great. Tyler Locklear is fine, even if he's popular. And then on DraftKings, minimum salary, Troy Johnston. I'll be mentioning a lot of Marlins, and he's one of them.
Okay. TJ, first base.
Pete Alonso, my favorite guy here as well. Love that he's projecting for decently low ownership today. I'm going to be loading up on him. Obviously, he's a Spidey bomb. Bet on him to hit a home run today as well. Locklear is my second highest own, but I'm going to be significantly under the field. Have about half as much as the field today. I like getting some CJ Kafis for a cheap option for the Guardians. Josh Bell for a cheap option as the Nationals I like. But first choice is Pete Alonso. Second choice is Bryce Harper, who I like a lot for tournaments as well.
Okay. How about second base, TJ?
Second base, Ketel Marte is a guy that if I can spend it up for him, I can. I will. Like, he's probably my priority today. Him Juan Soto second, I think. He's my highest owned bat, and that is with getting 66% Scooball. So I'm trying to jam in as much Ketel Marte as I can. Outside of him, I'm getting some Aaron Schunk because he plays in Coors for the Rockies. I'm getting some Paul DeJong because, like we talked about, he's been hot and he's playing against Luzardo, who's going to be super highly owned. And then I will be significantly underweight on Jeff McNeil just because if anybody else also gets a hit in a run, they can beat Jeff McNeil today. So I'm not too worried about him. Don't like Jeff McNeil chalk. I'll be underweight there. Another guy I really like for tournaments is Xavier Edwards.
Okay. Cheese, your thoughts at second, and then I'll jump in with a little weather update.
Yeah, two thoughts. The first thought is Marte is kind of like Scooball for me, where I'm not at any point fading him for ownership. Like if I can afford him, I'm just playing him, period.
Yeah.
But he's expensive enough that like he's not in every lineup. But my other thought is we're showing some ownership on some of these players like Jeff McNeil. I mean, he's cheap, so he'll get some play, but like I think the ownership is spread out after Marte, so I wouldn't really worry about it. Like I would be surprised if McNeil is actually like 3 to 4 times as owned as all these other cheap guys. I mean, he'll be in Met stacks, but nobody's like running out to play Jeff McNeil. Maybe somebody is. Let me know how fast you're going. He's fine for the price.
Okay. Want to get your thoughts at third, but before I do, Cheese, quick little weather update. I think you just stick with Scooball, and it's not some sort of lock. It is not risk-free, but there's just nothing immediately alarming. And as the latest models are coming in, the stuff that I am concerned with, it shows it just weakening a little bit as it starts to move into Minnesota. And my hope would be that it's light enough that they just play through whatever does fall over Minnesota. I don't feel nearly as confident in that as I did last night, saying that the New York games were fine, but I don't think it's a situation where you fade the best pitcher based on what could happen, because there's nothing wildly alarming on radar, and models are kind of supporting that you should play it as well. So, geez, I think that's what we do.
The people like what you're saying, Kevin.
Man, they like it until they don't, geez. Well,
exactly right.
You know?
Yeah, you can still, even though it's useless, you can still tell us before lock if it changes.
Yeah,
I
will. I'll keep a watch on things. But right now, I think unless you just want to avoid the risk, in which I'm totally fine with, you want to pull a cheese and be underweight on Scooball and go any of the other routes, I'm fully on board with that. But if he's your guy and you want to play him, I'm not going to be the one to stop you. That's where I stand. Okay, with that out of the way, I'll do another quick little checkup like before lock, but I don't think we're gonna glean any new information there. Cheese, what do we like at third?
Third base is interesting because there's really no one to spend up for other than Jose Ramirez, who's facing Edward Cabrera, and he'll be like the lowest owned of any of like the 6K hitters on the slate. I still don't like him at all.
This
really
might be the worst position on any slate this year.
Oh.
It's weird, yeah. So for that reason, on DraftKings, Kyle Karros is the chalk here. He's $1,000 cheaper than Blaze Alexander. So to me, Karros and Colt Keith are both ahead of Blaze Alexander. Mauricio is fine as well. But the good news is on all these guys, if you're not playing Ramirez and really even Blaze Alexander, like you're not spending any money. So
yeah.
it's fine that it's bad. Like that's why. Like, and Kyle Karros is not a bad player. Like he's worth $3,000 against Eduardo Rodriguez. So like I don't mind him even if he's the chalk. That's kind of it for me. I mean, I do have Graham Pauley because I'm playing all the Marlins. But outside of Marlins stacks, like it's just not that hard to get to Karros. But if you have the money for Colt Keith, I still like Colt Keith a little better.
Okay. TJ, mostly it sucks, but at least it's cheap suckage.
Yeah, my highest owned third baseman today is Graham Pauley. Just a full out punt for Miami. Blaze Alexander's 2, Schunk is 3, DeJong is 4, and then I'm getting to some Kyle Karros for the Colorado kid as well. But Ronnie Mauricio in my Met stacks, Sosa in my Phillies stacks, heck, Brujan in my Brave stacks, but just literally whoever's in your stack or punt.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Let's get to shortstop.
Ezekiel Tovar is going to be the mega chalk today. He is going to be my highest owned shortstop, but I'm going to be under the field. I really like Gabriel Arias as a pivot and just full out punting the position. He's been kind of climbing up the lineup for the Guardians, and so I don't mind going with a full out punt for him. Geraldo Perdomo's 3 for me, but again, another guy I'll be under the field on. I have some Otto Lopez, but Francisco Lindor is one of my favorite spend ups to get different on the slate.
Okay. Cheese, that brings you to shortstop.
Yeah, like Tovar on DraftKings is very chalky, and I think it's fine. I really like Lindor. If you can afford Lindor, great, do that. Perdomo will probably be the kind of left out Arizona spend up, and I would want to get him in stacks for that reason. But like as a one off, that's not really the guy you want to spend that salary on, and I would play Lindor ahead of him. I don't really have anyone else to mention.
Yeah. Then you get to take us to the outfield, right?
Yeah, outfield's fascinating tonight. Fascinating. That's the word I would use for it. Because we have Corbin Carroll at Coors Field. We have Juan Soto against Bryce Elder. We have Kyle Schwarber against Brad Lord. And we have Gurriel, who's priced up. Then we have all these Rockies who are pretty cheap, like Beck and Doyle. We've got the Tigers going overlooked, but who are good, Riley Green and Kerry Carpenter. We've got your Marlins punts again. I am really not playing all that much Corbin Carroll and just hope that he goes like 3 for 4 with 2 runs. And it's like, it's good, but it's not, oh my gosh, I lost because I didn't have that. I'm doing a little more mid-tier stuff. Like I love all the spend ups. I love Carroll. I love Soto. I love Schwarber. But the way the salary works, if I play some combination of like Beck, Doyle, throw Cedric Mullins in there, Jacob Marcy, then I can play everything else that I like. Most lineups, because where I'm not doing Scoo-Ball, I still ended up getting to 1 spend up. In which case, if I have $5,200, it's Stowers over Gurriel every day, all day. And then Brandon Nimmo is the other guy who's kind of in the no man's land pricing and too cheap on FanDuel that I would play on his own. So like if I'm doing one-offs and I'm not stacking like the obvious team, I like guys like Nimmo and Stowers who are not quite priced all the way up, but not quite priced all the way down. So I think they get a little bit squeezed.
Yeah. TJ, your thoughts in the outfield?
Kyle Stowers, Spidey Bum, number 3 at plus 420. So keep hitting that like button. We can do another one at 125 likes, another one at 150 likes. But yeah, I like some Kyle Stowers in the outfield. Love that call from Cheese. Juan Soto is my highest owned player here. He's my second highest owned bat behind Ketel Marte. Then it's Corbin Carroll and Lourdes Gurriel. CJ Kayfus is a player that I'm just getting a lot of today. These cheap Guardians guys are some guys I'm getting to a lot of in mini stacks. Brenton Doyle, Cedric Mullins, I like quite a bit. Jordan Beck, Brandon Marsh. And then my favorite way to get really different today, Dylan Cruz, Michael Harris, Jacob Marcy are my 3 guys that I'm getting to a lot that the field is not.
Okay. We need some home run calls. Of course, TJ, we got some Spidey Bombs scrolling at the bottom. And we get a 4th. At 25 likes, we can get a 5th Spidey Bomb at 150 likes, but we do not have any cheese bombs. And everybody loves a good cheese bomb. You got a few names for me, Cheese? Like high, middle, low tier?
Oh, sure. I would have gone Stowers, but I won't take Spidey's. We don't need more of that.
You can double up. It's allowed.
Yeah. That's just an extra freebie. We're gonna go with the random Braxton Fulford home run. The random that should not be random at all, Jacob Marcy home run. And the Cedric Mullins home run.
Very good. I want to make sure that people are getting the best deal in the industry. NFL right around the corner. There it is. I see it. Fantasy Labs, your home for season-long fantasy football and best ball content. You get access to rankings, projections, articles, and more from award-winning experts, Sean Corner, Chris Raybon. Fantasy Labs has an app, which is very cool. Lets you get real-time rankings, draft cheat sheets, and lineup advice on the go. So you've got it there while you're doing your thing. Sign up now. Code RG15 for $15 off. So make sure you are doing that. We still have, I think, Locke, is it 40 after or 45 after? Is that right, Cheese?
We have a while to talk about whatever all this is. Yeah, it's at 40 after, I think.
Yeah.
Who says 40 after? I was like, that sounds like the way you would say that. Yeah, what do you say? What a weird time. Like, there's no good way to say it.
Yeah. If it's like 10 till, you certainly don't say 50 after.
No.
But 40 is kind of in between. Do you say 20 till? I don't think so.
20 till would have sounded just as funny. I don't know what to say. You can't say the actual time because we're all in different time zones.
Exactly. There's no good answer for that. If you have the right answer, let us know. Let us know in the chat. Let's see if we got a few questions here. I've got TJ cooking something up, trying to pop in the Discord, and it's looking all funky. So let me close that out and see if we can bring it back up. You got a few questions coming up here. Cheese. Paulie and Carroll or Karros and Soto?
I mean, I would, Paulie and Carroll, but that's like so very toss-uppy.
Yeah. I think we're going to do a tiers list. By the way, I did get a few questions about Senga. A few people noting I saw his name a bunch in the chat, and I don't think either of you mentioned him. You want to give me your brief thoughts on Senga, Cheese?
Yeah, my thought is if a pitcher can't throw a strike on purpose, you shouldn't play him in DFS. And he can't. He has no idea, even vaguely, where the plate is. And he's not cheap. Eventually, he'll have a good start again. Because he does have good stuff, but the guy hasn't thrown a strike on purpose in over a month. He has no idea what's happening.
Yeah, TJ, for that reason, are you out as well?
Yeah, he's just not very good.
Yeah. All right, let's do a quick tiers because we still have 20 minutes, and we got some questions coming in. But people are asking about stacks, and I thought since we talked about weather, we were fighting in the chat about who has better weather, Chicago or New York. I have done a tiers list of best weather cities in the country. And you may disagree with them. That's fine. You're allowed to. But I am a weatherman, so I get final say on this kind of thing. So we're going to pop that up, and we will put the various teams into these various stacks. LA, of course, it's ridiculous. If you've never been, it's just 70 degrees and sunny most of the year. It's insane. Denver, pretty harsh winters, right? You get some snow, but the rest of the year is amazing. Just phenomenal weather in Denver outside of winter. Charlotte, it's kind of it's pretty good. Charlotte's pretty good weather. You got all the seasons there, no major issues. Chicago pretty much sucks. It's cold and miserable, and it's windy all the time. And then Houston, it's 115 degrees outside, and we have hurricanes and tornadoes. It's terrible. I hate it here, but I love the city, just not the weather. Cheese, first off, any arguments with my list?
No, I think that's pretty solid. The Denver one. So I lived in Denver a lot of my life. And it's just a matter of your opinion. Some people, I'm fine with having there because they do actually have 4 seasons. And some people really like that. Some people don't, which is fine. But I think that's a really good list, as you would expect from a weatherman.
Yeah. TJ, where would Saskatoon fit in this list?
I mean, I guess, hold on. There we go. Little friend who wants to come say hi. Probably near the bottom, probably in the Chicago tier, but I would say it's one of those that in the winter, it's by far the worst. And in the summer, it's by far the best. Is Los Angeles really only 70s in the summer? I was under the impression we were looking at high 80s, mid 90s all summer. And that to me, that's a little too hot. That's a little too hot.
But there's no humidity. There's no humidity out there. So even the hot days are they're pretty good. They're pretty solid.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I would pop it second behind Denver. If I absolutely forced and someone said you have no choice but to move to the United States, Denver or at least Colorado in general would be the place that I would choose.
You can't put it first in the tiers, though. You can't put a place where it sometimes snows in May at the top of the tiers.
Right. Sometimes you get a foot of snow in May. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. And I guess maybe because I'm used to that kind of thing, that doesn't really faze me as much. But that's a very good point. But I like the vibes in Colorado. I feel like that always seemed like a place I wanted to. I've never been, but a place I've always wanted to go, and it's kind of been like I guess I could probably just go a little further west to BC to do this, but it's always been like a bucket list thing for me to snowboard and golf on the same day.
That is certainly a spot where you can do that at. Okay, let's rank the teams real quick. We'll throw them in these tiers. We're going to bypass the normal rules. I'm just going to let you each throw some in. TJ, you can go first. Marlins, Guardians. Where are you putting them?
You know, I will actually put Marlins on this slate higher than I feel like most people would, but I'm going to have Marlins all the way up in the Denver tier. I like them quite a bit for GPPs today. One, I like Kyle Stowers as a contrarian spend up, but if you're not playing Stowers, you can stack this team up for really, really cheap. And so I like Miami quite a bit today. Guardians, I will drop in third tier just because I'm not really full stacking them all that much. But there are quite a few individual Guardians players I like, and I like pairing them in some 2-man, 3-man mini stacks. So I'll have Guardians and Charlotte.
Okay, very good. Cheese, you do have the power to move one of those two teams up or down if you so choose. What would you do?
I love the Marlins too. I'm leaving them. I would rather bump the Guardians down. I think it's totally fine to have them in the middle. I would put them down in Chicago personally.
Okay, you get the power to do so. That is your veto right. TJ, you get the power to move one of Cheese's as well, up or down one location. So Guardians down to Chicago, if you don't mind, TJ.
Guardians down to Chicago. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, Cheese, you get the next game. That is Phillies Nationals. Where are you ranking them?
Yeah, I'll force TJ to use his veto on my Nationals in Chicago. I don't like the Nationals today. I understand it for salary. And they're cheap. That's not my favorite salary saving team, so I don't have them. Phillies, I could make a case to put them higher, but I'm going to put them in Charlotte. Like Schwarber and Harper are great, but they're not Carroll, Marte, and Soto either, and you can't play all those guys. And then I just think Brad Lord is okay. So they need to do big damage against the bullpen, and maybe they can, but it's enough to leave them in the middle.
Okay, TJ, you do get to move one of those two teams up or down one slot if you so choose. What you doing?
Yeah, I'll move my Nationals up there just because I do like them quite a bit.
I was going to put him in like Denver and see if he'll still move them up because you just never know.
I figured since that was like my stand today, I feel I got to stand by and bump them up a little bit.
Okay, I approve. Next up is Braves, Mets. TJ, where do those teams go?
I'm going to go Mets all the way up in tier 1 today. I think when you consider ownership, they are just as good of a stack, if not better, than the Diamondbacks for the projected ownership. And so Mets are going all the way up in tier 1 for me. Love Juan Soto, love Pete Alonso. They're two of my top priorities on the slate. Atlanta, let's say, I don't know. I'm going to put him in Charlotte and let Cheese bump him where he wants to bump him. I would have him Charlotte or Chicago, somewhere in that mid tier.
Okay. Cheese?
I think that's correct. Like, I do like the Braves stack to be different, but I don't like them so much. I can't put them any higher than that, but I think that I do like them in the middle there. And yeah, also I'm on board with the Mets.
Okay. You get Twins and Tigers, Cheese.
All right. So we do have the one obvious Houston team. With Minnesota, and it's also this could be a baseball tier. It's Houston at the bottom of everything. We just put this could be a cheaters tiers. It could be all kinds of things.
Tier two baseball team.
But anyhow, Twins at the bottom, as Houston is at the bottom of all things weather and baseball, and then Detroit. I've never done these tiers. Is this specifically full stacking? Or is this just how we feel in general? Like
however you're feeling.
Here? It can be specifically full stacking, or you can just do it how you want and put like a mini stack that you like in 3.
Well, we're putting them in Denver then. And for like 2 or 3 guys power hunting as an important piece of most lineups. Like the full stack is a step behind, but like Keith Carpenter, Green, Torkelson, I mean, that should be 4 home runs.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. TJ, you get to move one of those teams if you so choose. If not, we can move on.
No, that's fine. I'd maybe bump Tigers down one, but I don't think they need to. We don't want the Marlins all alone in tier 2, because as we make the pivot to the final game of the slate, Colorado and Arizona, both of these teams are tier 1 stacks for me today. Arizona, 7 implied run total. They're projecting for a ton of ownership, but they're probably going to score 10 runs today. And then the Rockies, projecting for some decent ownership, but Eduardo Rodriguez has just been terrible. And so they're up in tier 1 as well.
Okay, very good. Catching up. We have rain at Target Field, and the tarp is out. Okay, so that's the pregame rain right now. I was just seeing this on Twitter. The tarp is on the field. That's the pregame rain that's clearing out, and then to my eye, we've got at least 2 to 3 hours of drier weather behind that. Of course, we're still an hour away from first pitch, which would put it to 1 to 2 hours, but that's before you even have to worry. And at that point, models have the rain getting lighter and moving in and then playing without it, which is why I still think Scooball probably works out for you. So don't be, bottom line, don't be alarmed that the tarp is on. It has nothing to do with what they'll see during the game, because that line of rain is clearing out. Let's answer some questions. Let's get some likes. How many likes are we at? At 125, we get another Spidey bomb. We get a 5th at 150. TJ, what are we at?
Let me do a little refresh. We are at 139. Jeepers, the people are going ham with the like button today. All right, I'll get 2 ready right now. Take some QQs, get back to me in a second, and I'll have 2 more Spidey bombs ready for the people, assuming 11 more people hit that like button and we get us up to 150. If not, it'll just be 1.
I like that. By the way, shout out to Izzy, who brings in Key West. There should be a Key West tier. Key West should have been my number 2. The weather in Key West, I think, is awesome. It never gets too hot. Like, I don't think it's ever hit 100 degrees. It's humid, but you know, it's great. Are there actually questions? Baseball related ones?
There's a few in the Discord.
So about that, Cheese. For whatever reason, my Discord is not loading today. Do you want to take those questions?
Yeah, there's few enough that I can do them.
Great. You got to read them though. You got to do the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm scrolling up here. So DK Cash. A couple of them I'll just ask and answer, and then some of them I'll ask TJ. I'll do what I want, TJ. Shush. So for Cheese, Achilles asks DK Cash, McNeil or Sosa. Oh, thank you, McNeil in cash. And then, would you rather pay up for Scooball and cash and use a lot of Rockies, cheap Arizona, or 2 mid-price pitchers and get Marte, Carriel, or Gurriel? In cash, just play Scooball. Play the cheap Rockies. There you go. TJ, I would like all of us to answer this one. In fact, I'm going to just ask Roth. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the last name Shunk?
That's tough because it's either a 2 or a 9, depending on.
Yeah.
I think it's a 9. I think it's really, really strong. You know, that I am not named it. I would not want to be named that, but for a player, I think it's a 9. TJ, where do you stand on the name? Is it Junk or Chunk?
Shunk.
Shunk.
SCH.
1 out of 10. Where is Shunk?
You wouldn't want the name Junk because that name is trash.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want the name Chunk because it sounds like vomit. But Shunk, I like it. It kind of sounds like spunk, and spunk is a really fun word. Spunk is one of the more underrated words that I think should be more heavily utilized. And so I would give Shunk a nice 8.8 out of 10.
Geez, you want to round us out with a Shunk rating?
Oh, I was going to go like 9.2.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of it.
Coming in strong.
A question for TJ. TJ's Warch. DK Cash. 3v3. Bybee, Marte, and Beck, or Scooball, McNeil, and Thomas?
Second one.
Agree. Play Scooball and cash. How do I feel about Rockies O'Doyle as a one-off in the meaty part of the lineup? Does O'Doyle rule? O'Doyle
Oh,
rule.
nice.
Yeah.
O'Doyle rules.
I honestly, I love Doyle tonight. Like, he's too cheap on DraftKings. He can be in a stack, in a mini stack, on his own. Doesn't matter. I like him. TJ, any interest in Ober on a FanDuel tournament?
Nope, not at all. I have 0% in 150 lineups.
Yeah. Someone wants my vanilla latte recipe. I mean, there's not really much to the recipe of a vanilla latte, just that I start with whole espresso beans and have a little grinder that gets those going. So it's very fresh. And then
I assumed you went to a coffee house for this.
This is
made in
homemade.
house.
I do my own here. The coffee house does not give me this cup to drink out of, so I got to do it here. I could bring it; they'd fill it up for me. But I do use different vanilla syrups at different times. This one is vanilla bean. Good stuff.
Unless if I missed it, I apologize. But I think we missed producer Steve's question because he's playing a single entry lineup today, and that would be in a Mets stack with a Marlins mini. Would you go McNeil and Corbin Carroll or Xavier Edwards and Brandon Nimmo? Cheese. I side with the Xavier Edwards Brandon Nimmo one.
I like that too. Yeah, I really like Nimmo. He's borderline my favorite Mets player today with ownership and salary factored in.
I was thinking about doing Nimmo as a Spidey bomb instead of one of the two that I dropped, but I thought maybe we shouldn't go 3 from the Mets. But I was thinking of doing Nimmo instead of Dylan Cruz, but instead we did Dylan Cruz for the Nationals batting third today, plus 600, and then Josh Bell plus 650. Love him to hit a home run today. So I got my Mets, I got my Nationals, and I got Kyle Stowers.
Okay, very good. We still have a few more questions. I was hoping to get to lock, but also I need to tweet. I need to get information out. I need to look at the latest. So we might end it a few minutes early here. How much Blaylock do you have out of 150 lineups on DK, TJ?
Less than 0%. Negative.
Less than 0. That is not a whole lot. TJ, he says Dinger. Is it Dingler probably or Keith? 2,700 left FanDuel catcher spot.
I go Dingler.
Yep. FanDuel cheese, Carroll or Soto?
I mean, yes, is just the answer. I'll say Carroll, but that's one of those you really can't pick the right answer there.
Yeah. Do we get any more questions in the Discord? If not, I think I'm going to end it just so I can take care of some other.
Only the question I always wondered, why does DK price Tyler Freeman where they do? Nobody knows what's happening.
Is it too high?
Yeah, it's just he's always the third most expensive Rocky and the 7th one you would play. I mean, I get that he's leading off, but it's always weird.
Okay. We're going to clear on out here 5 minutes or so prior to lock, just so I can make sure I got the very latest weather updates out there, of course, here and online as well on RotoGrinders and on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. I got one last question, TJ. Nimmo, Mullins, or Stowers and Harris? DK Cash.
Nimmo Mullins.
Okay. TJ's thoughts on fellow Canadian Liam Hicks as a cheap punt?
Only in a Miami stack.
Okay, very good. Guys, we're going to bounce on out of here. So for Cheese and for TJ and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.